When Donald Trump promised retribution during the campaign, it turns out he meant it. When he promised to empty the jails of January 6 convicts, it turns out he meant it. So we're learning in this very first week, these first few days of the Trump administration, if people didn't already, to take seriously his threats.
Threats. Those were campaign promises. And he's following through on them. That's Willie Geist this morning at MSDNC Morning Joke. Shocked to find that the man elected president is carrying out the policies that he ran on. You can see how confusing that might be for them. They certainly didn't expect that. They expect to be lied to like cheerleaders in the back of a station wagon, and then to appreciate it, to love it. Yeah, Willie Geist, MSDNC, shocked, I say, to find that an elected official is actually making good on his campaign promises. And the Democrats, they want to, what do they want to do? They want to free the illegal alien gang members everywhere in the country, but lock up the political enemies of the Democrat Party for decades on end. Remarkable stuff. That's award-winning journalism at NBC Fake News. They're shocked, I say, and they were all horrified and appalled. Wait a minute. Hey, you guys gave preemptive pardons to all of your rioters, thousands and thousands of rioters, literally more than 2,000 police officers injured, no jail sentences for them, burning courthouses and police stations with police inside, by the way, burning police cars, no jail sentences, setting fire to the Church of the Presidents in Washington, D.C., one of America's most historic churches, no jail sentences, preemptive pardons for every vile arsonist, looter, rioter, attacker of police. You know, Democrats. It's a circle fest in a hot tub. Remarkable stuff. Yeah, President Trump is making good on all kinds of campaign promises. And the Democrats are outraged. They're shocked. They really can't believe this is happening because they've never seen a Democrat actually take office and say, hey, what were my campaign promises? I think I'll make good on those now that I'm in the Oval Office. So you can imagine there's a lot of gender dysphoria over there, too. A lot of confusion, lots and lots. So that's just a wackadoodle start there. Now, we've got a lot going on in Washington today. President Trump, he's the president of the United States. He's going to go to North Carolina, in particular Western North Carolina, to the areas where, you remember FEMA was there, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and they showed up and they were on orders to not render any assistance if a house had a Trump sign in the front yard or any kind of Republican side because they were frightened and they might be killed because really, it's a death cult. They're Jonestown. They're Al-Qaeda. They're the Democrat Party. Wackadoodle-doo. But you may recall that we learned from FEMA people themselves that the orders from on high, from the Biden people, the orders were, don't go to a home if there's a Trump sign in front and suggest that we have anything for them because we're communists. We're like Cuban communist pig dogs. You know, Schweinhund. The Schweinhund, der Schweinhund. And that was remarkable. But President Trump is going there today. And there were a number of North Carolina residents on the television this morning and say, hey, what do you think about President Trump coming to visit? And it's like, hey, that's kind of nice. I guess Biden is gone because we've been completely ignored and neglected by the Biden administration because of their politics. And they should probably go to a penitentiary for that. I think pre-dawn FBI raids, battering rams, gas masks, rifles, lots of guys, maybe a camera crew in tow, a Newsmax camera crew in tow out at the curb, like the old CNN camera crew for the Roger Stone pre-dawn morning raid. Remarkable stuff. So you got that President Trump going to North Carolina, and then he's going to California. He's going to get on Air Force One, which Joe Biden can't fly anymore because he's not president anymore. But President Trump going to get on Air Force One, going to go to North Carolina, and then he's going to go to California, and he's going to visit the disasters that the Democrats certainly have contributed to from the lack of FEMA response in North Carolina to everything they've done in California over the course of years, making sure that water doesn't come out of fire hydrants. That's kind of an un-American trick, but the Democrats pulled it off. They blow up dams to make sure there are no reservoirs because a Native American wanted to fish. So Gavin Newsom destroyed 4 dams, which usually means 4 reservoirs, which usually gives you water to fight fires. But the Democrats screwed all that up, and they defunded fire departments, and they defunded the clearing the forest, grooming the forests so they don't burn as they've been burning over the last several weeks in California. But, they groom their children, but they don't groom their forests. What's a motto you? You got to no respect. So President Trump going to North Carolina, then going to California, disaster. And I love the New York Times headline here. Trump to visit North Carolina and California, with disaster aid and open question. They love to create fake controversies where there are none. But they are talking in Washington about maybe suggesting or even requiring that California do something to make sure that there's water in their reservoirs and that these tragic fires don't happen again next year as they've happened this year because of a lack of preparedness by Gavin Newsom and by the mayor of Los Angeles, California, Karen Bass. And maybe she's the fish that the Native Americans wanted to catch. I don't know. I think it's the tiny smelt fish the size of your pinky that they had to burn Los Angeles to the ground to save the smelt fish because very important, the smelt fish. Amazing stuff. So, and the disaster aid and open question. The New York Times is lying in their headline. They're doing propaganda for the Democrat Party. They're not journalists at all. But the question on the table is whether we should funnel billions and billions of our tax dollars from across the country into California, given the negligence that the Democrats are guilty of in the state of California by way of mismanaging the resources available to them and the tax dollars available to them. And that ought to be discussed. And in North Carolina, FEMA pulled the plug because there might be Trump voters there. And so, like the communists of the 20th century, here they come. So, also, Trump orders release of long secret final files on JFK, RFK, and MLK assassinations. That's, of course, John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we got all that. And the files now, it's going to take time. They're not going to drop today, even at close of business on Friday, because they still got to give the CIA time to scrub the records and shred and destroy whatever they want to shred and destroy, having to do with the John F. Kennedy file. Now, was it a communist named Lee Harvey Oswald that shot John F. Kennedy in the head and killed him? Or was it the permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, the CIA, U.S. intelligence community, as has been suggested over the years? And they contribute to these conspiracy theories by keeping thousands of documents secret for a half century and more, but pay no attention to that. Just amazing stuff. Wah, wah, wah. Now, the Kennedy family has there's internal strife and internal conflict inside the Kennedy family. And the John F. Kennedy assassination files, Jack Schlossberg, who is the grandson of John F. Kennedy, says there's nothing heroic about it, about releasing the JFK files. He's a Democrat, so he wants to attack Donald Trump for announcing that he'll be releasing the JFK files. So you get this Schlossberg guy. Now, did he kill any young women with a golf club, or was that was a different one? So there's nothing heroic about it, Trump's decision to declassify assassination files. And they got members of the Kennedy family lashing out. So they're going to try to prevent it because transparency is a word they often use, but they don't know what it means. Pretty amazing stuff. And the left-wingers at Mediaite, Trump goes on diatribe about transgender surgeries. I don't think it was really a diatribe. Olympics, dead Russian soldiers, and in unwieldy Davos speech. It was unwieldy. He covered a lot of stuff. He has a fluid mind. He goes from topic to topic with great ease and then goes back to an earlier topic. And the news media, they don't hire bright people. They don't hire people that have capable minds. They hire bootlicks and propagandists, many of whom are transgender. But President Trump diatribe about transgender surgeries, you mean at taxpayer expense on children, because the Democrat Party has a lot of illnesses, and that's just one of them. And at the Capitol yesterday, the U.S. Capitol Police arrested a man with a gun. And the story's almost funny because he showed up at the Capitol, went through the magnetometers. The magnetometers went off. Then they pulled him over. They pulled him aside and gave him a hand pat down and didn't discover the 9mm pistol stuck in his waistband and waved him into the Capitol. So now everybody's got to do a little, what do they do? A refresh on searching people with guns at the Capitol. Amazing stuff. Also, today is the March for Life. You may remember, I believe it was 6 years ago, 2019, at the March for Life, a young man named Nick Sandmann was minding his own business. He was in town from Covington Catholic School in Kentucky for the March for Life. And Chief Cheekbones, who must be related to Elizabeth Warren, played his little drum and walked up to Nick Sandmann and kind of got in his face, teenager. And the news media vilified the teenager and demonized the teenager. And that was 6 years ago at the March for Life, 2019, Washington, D.C. Nick Sandmann was smeared and slandered and slimed by the news media. He sued CNN for $275 million, and he won the lawsuit. Now, they didn't disclose how much money actually changed hands, but he sued for $275 million, and pretty amazing stuff. But today is the March for Life, and President Trump has recorded a message. J.D. Vance is going to speak, a recent convert to Catholicism. He's going to speak at the march. And get a load of this. We talked about this day before yesterday. It was part of the mailbag question. And one of our listeners said, well, hey, President Trump has pardoned the January 6 people, but has not pardoned the grandmothers praying outside of abortion clinics in Washington that were thrown in the penitentiary for years on end for praying because the communists are here. Well, yesterday, the headline broke, Trump pardons abortion clinic protesters ahead of March for Life, which is good. That's the headline from the Democrats think they should all be in prison, but that gang members from Venezuela should be showering with your teenage daughter at her junior high school, and maybe, putting gang tattoos on the back of their necks or the base of their spines. Remarkable stuff. But the Democrats love to jail their political enemies, and almost everybody falls into the category of their political enemies. You have to be a crazy person to not be one of their political enemies. But President Trump pardoning the abortion clinic protesters, so hopefully they'll be at the March for Life. Maybe some of them will speak. But this is another example of the left building more prisons to put their political enemies in. And everybody, if you're pro-life, you're a grandmother that prays, they'll put you in prison because they're more fascist than any liberals you've ever seen in your lifetime. Remarkable stuff. And so about 150,000 people expected the March for Life. And it is, 22 degrees or something out there. It might have been up to 25 degrees today by the time I came in. But a lot going on there, a lot going on there. And President Trump, to address the news media Politico, called an anti-abortion march. No, it's a pro-life march. You pro-death savages, you baby killers. What are you, like, we got Chief Cheekbones today. He was spat upon and called a baby killer by Democrats when he didn't come home from Vietnam. But we'll get to that. And remarkable stuff. And the Nick Sandmann story at the March for Life, 6 years ago now. Great stuff. CNN shaking up their lineup, and nobody knows where Jim Acosta's going. Maybe to the bread line. Not at all clear. The laptop. The laptop. The Democrats, they lie about everything, don't they? I got an update for you on the Haitian illegal alien who's cursing out President Trump and praising Obama and Biden. And is Barack Obama dating a TV star? Or are they just trying to spread a rumor that he's hetero? We're at 888-630-9625. Where's Larry Sinclair? Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Now, what's up with this Barack Obama allegedly being hetero? I saw this story this morning, and I immediately thought of Joan Rivers, who knew it all. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Dan, calling from Reston, Virginia. Daniel, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. I spend a lot of time driving, and I'm on 66 currently, and I spend a lot of time on 495 as well. And I already see the uptick in traffic for people, having to go back to work. So love or hate Trump, the guy knows how to make money, and everyone's going to do better because more traffic and those little delis in the buildings that have been, less than 50% occupied. It's going to mean more economic prosperity for everyone. So, again, love or hate Trump, he knows how to make money.
I got it. You're 100% right. And I was at Newsmax yesterday, and a couple of the great women in the studio were saying, anybody notice the traffic today? A lot more traffic today because President Trump, and not everybody across the country is aware of this perhaps, but President Trump has ordered that federal government employees who have been working from home for years because of the Wu, and the Chinese communists with their virus, which, we helped, thanks to Anthony Fauci. But President Trump said everybody back into the office, everybody back to work. So Dan is talking about the already obvious increase in traffic on the Beltway, 495 on I-66 coming into the city of Washington. And you're 100% right. Now, Jasmine and Michael and I talked about this briefly a little earlier, and I said, well, this is great news for the people that run the lunch places downtown, which is what you mentioned, the delis. And it's true because all these places have gone out of business, or they've gone dormant, they've gone dark, because when everybody downtown Washington stopped coming to downtown Washington, businesses naturally living on, with slim profit margins, they go belly up. And it's the lunch places, the dinner places, the, get your stuff place, even the drugstores, the CVS's and stuff, taking a beating because nobody's coming downtown. And Dan, you're on the road and you see, look at this, a lot more people on the road. You see it already.
Well, and like you said, those places went out of business from the delis to the dry cleaners to, if people aren't going to work, they didn't need to buy things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's another way of choking the life out of the city. The economy's down, but at least the crime rate is up, thanks to illegal gang members. President Trump leaving the White House, left the White House, board Marine One, headed to Joint Base Andrews, where Air Force One, the mighty 747, is standing by for him to take him as president of the United States, and not Joe Biden and not Kamala Harris, to North Carolina to visit the devastation of the massive hurricane that ripped through there and caused all kinds of havoc, especially in western North Carolina. And then the FEMA people under Joe Biden coming through and explaining that they were told that if any properties, any homes, any farms had Trump signs, that they were to be ignored and avoided, and people should go to the penitentiary for that, but won't. They'll probably find them and run them for office, the Democrats. Remarkable stuff. And then President Trump, after North Carolina, on to California, where he's going to meet with Gavin Newsom, ask him for hair tips, and not ask him for tips on how to put out fires or make sure that water comes out of fire hydrants, because they're not good at that. Not good at all. Remarkable stuff. Now, a number of things I want to get to. We got a bunch of President Trump for you today. He was busy yesterday. He's already talked to the press today. He has now. Today is Friday. He was inaugurated on Monday. It's been kind of an action-packed week, I've got to say. We've got auto manufacturing returning to Detroit, Michigan, returning to a plant in Illinois that had been abandoned. I've got United Auto Worker responding to that I want to share with you today. Remarkable stuff. President Trump has now pardoned January 6th people. The news media really irate about that. But the preemptive pardons for Joe Biden's whole family, they're fine with that, the $27 million. And, of course, the preemptive pardons for all the rioters at the White House when President Trump was in there. Hundreds and hundreds of rioters attacking the White House for 3 days, assaulting and injuring 160 to 180 police officers. Nobody sentenced to a day in jail. Nobody, not one rioter sentenced to a day in jail. They still haven't found the pipe bomb guy from the DNC and the RNC headquarters, even though they've got video of him on his cell phone with a timestamp on it, knowing where he is with nobody around him, and they still can't find him. Not a very good investigative agency, the FBI, I'm thinking. But they can find grandmothers that prayed at abortion clinics and throw them in prison for years and years on end. President Trump pardoned those pro-life people yesterday in time for today's March for Life. But the Democrats love death more than we love life, which is the old Al-Qaeda slogan adopted by the Democrat Party. They should wear T-shirts, I think, with the Al-Qaeda slogan while they chant from the river to the sea about wiping Israel off the map and all that good stuff. Now, with that said, as I mentioned, the March for Life is today. And there are a lot of stories related to that. President Trump pardoning the grandmothers praying at an abortion clinic that the Democrats threw in prison because they're haters and they hate Christendom, Christianity, God, church. They had that crazy bishop at the National Cathedral who's a political radical and extremist, and she cuts her hair with a Flowbee, uses the Flowbee to cut her hair. Not stylish, but practical. I'll give her that. But the March for Life, I'm guessing that the bishop is not at the March for Life because she's a bishop, Episcopal bishop in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, who's not pro-life. She's not pro-life. And I find that to be a little ironic, which is another clear sign that she's a lefty, a liberal. But never minding that, because there's a lot to talk about. And one of the things, again, President Trump recorded a message that will be played at the March for Life. J.D. Vance will be speaking in person at the March for Life. It is 20-something degrees out there today, rather brisk, rather chilly. But I want to remind you, because it matters, that a number of years ago there was a big deal. It was a giant fake news story from the corrupt news media, and it had to do with the March for Life. And there was a young man named Nick Sandmann, a teenager from a Catholic school in Covington, Kentucky, Covington Catholic school. They sent me a beautiful sweatshirt, a dark blue Covington Catholic sweatshirt, which I do wear from time to time. I may wear it later today, as a matter of fact. I should be wearing it now, but I didn't. We just moved. I'm still trying to find stuff. But the fake news went crazy when young teenager, Catholic, pro-life student, Nick Sandmann, in town with his school, his Catholic school from Covington, Kentucky. Nick Sandmann was wearing a MAGA hat and minding his own business on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial when a left-wing radical by the name of Nathan Phillips, who's a Native American man, came up to Nick Sandmann and kind of got in his face, banging a drum, as Democrats, lefties like to do, and doing all this stuff. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? And Nathan Phillips came up, kind of got in the face of the teenager. And there were videos, because everybody has a TV studio on their phones. So there were videos of Nick Sandmann, teenager, standing there minding his own business with a pleasant smile on his face, while an older man by the name of Nathan Phillips, a Native American, we would learn later, who served in the Marine Corps in the Vietnam Times. That's what he said, but didn't go to Vietnam. But that didn't keep the media from calling him a Vietnam veteran 1,000 times even though it was never true. And he never said it was true. He didn't lie about it. They're just too dumb or too dishonest or whatever. But you may remember 2019, the March for Life, and Nick Sandmann became the villain of the story because the news media villainized, vilified, demonized, and made him a real bad guy, disrespecting an elder. And he's not an elder in his Native American tribe, Nathan Phillips. He's just an old guy who's Native American, so they called him an American Indian elder. They don't know what these words mean. They use the words, but they don't know what they mean. And when he said, I was a Vietnam Times, and he served in the Marine Corps, God bless him, and during the Vietnam War, but he didn't go to Vietnam, and that's great. But and he never said that he did, but the news media then said that he did because they're trying to make him a hero. Now, you know, when it's convenient for the left, Vietnam veteran Marine is a hero. Now, if you can use that person against a teenager who goes to Catholic school and has a Trump hat on, and that's what the media did. It was one of the biggest lies ever. And Nick Sandmann, I hope, is a very, very wealthy man as a result. 2019 March for Life.
Yeah, y'all better not touch him. Y'all better not touch him.
And you got these crazy radical black racists called the Black Hebrew Israelites. And Nathan Phillips is banging a drum, and he's got high cheekbones just like Elizabeth Warren's papaw. And that's how you know he's a real Native American. And he's banging a drum. That's another sign, with a wooden stick and all that good stuff. Now, this happened, and I did something crazy because I saw the news reports coming out after this teenager. I did something crazy. I went to Al Gore's Amazing Internet, and I watched the videos. I watched like 45-minute-long videos from a couple of different camera angles. I watched the whole thing, and I saw that Nick Sandmann did absolutely nothing inappropriate or controversial or provocative or insightful, and that Nathan Phillips, if anybody, got up into the teenager's face, and still he was sort of docile, but there was no reason for him to march over and get in the face of the young pro-life people. And he did, and it was no big deal. Really, Nathan Phillips didn't create a scene. Nicholas Sandmann certainly didn't create a scene. The filthy, corrupt, nasty, lying news media created a fake scene. And some of it sounded like this.
A troubling scene many are calling racist played out in Washington yesterday on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Some students harassing an older Native American man, a Vietnam vet.
Students,
the situation came to a head when that young man there, wearing a Make America Great Again hat, got right in his face.
That got right in his face.
The video appears to show dozens of youths wearing Make America Great Again hats, mocking Native American elder and Vietnam veteran Nathan Phillips.
Yesterday, a Native American man was confronted by young people with Make America Great hats on.
No, he wasn't.
There's something wrong with that.
Outrage over this now viral video showing high school teenagers harassing a Native American
outrage.
elder.
Racist. It's racist. It's an outrage. They confronted him. No, they were standing there waiting for their bus, and Chief Cheekbones came up with his drum, banging the drum, and got in there, walked right up to them, and, you know, you could say got in their faces a bit, but they didn't get in his face. But the news media, he's a Vietnam vet. He's not a Vietnam vet. He didn't go to Vietnam. He claimed repeatedly, I'm a Vietnam Times vet. That's what he said.
I'm a Vietnam Times veteran. Honorable discharge, yeah. I never really asked my government for nothing, you know. When I come home, those times, I got spit on, actually spit on, called a baby killer.
See, now, Democrats did that. People who call themselves liberals did that because they were pro-communist then. Now they're just communists, and pretty amazing stuff. Now, that's now he did say, when I came home, right, Vietnam Times vet. But if you listen carefully, as I tend to do, you don't say I'm a Vietnam Times vet if you went to Vietnam and fought in Vietnam. You say I'm a Vietnam veteran, a Vietnam War veteran. But the news media, not smart enough, not serious enough, not honest enough. And the news media smeared and slandered. And the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie, they got excited about it.
There's something aggressive about standing there, standing your ground. You both stood your ground, and it was like a stare down. What do you think of that now when you think about that moment?
Oh, I would say Mr. Phillips had his right to come up to me. I had my right to stay there. Our school was slandered by the African Americans who had called us all sorts of things.
Yeah, the black Hebrew Israelites that are lunatic, fringe, fanatic group, and they were there too. And they were getting them there, and they're yelling provocative and controversial things. And that's Savannah Guthrie telling the teenager that there's something aggressive about him standing there. There's something aggressive about me standing there? Wow. That's kind of crazy. Savannah Guthrie then lying because I think these black Hebrew Israelites, which everybody knows are fringe lunatics, were claiming, oh, yeah, the kids are yelling, build the wall. I watched all the video. Everybody eventually, well, some people eventually watched all the video. It was one of the biggest lies of the year, and a year filled with huge, gigantic lies and fake news.
Did anyone say, build the wall?
I never heard anyone say build the wall, and
why would they say that?
I've seen it in any videos.
After a review of the videos, NBC News could not hear anyone shouting that hot button phrase.
So it didn't
Nathan
happen.
Phillips claims he heard the teen shout, build the wall.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Oh, yeah, he heard that. Yeah, Cheekbones heard that. That's Nick Sandmann. Spoke at the Republican National Convention in 2020.
My classmates and I visited the Lincoln Memorial. I found myself face-to-face with Nathan Phillips and other professional protesters looking to turn me into the latest poster child showing why Trump is bad, while the media portrayed me as an aggressor with a relentless smirk on my face. In reality, the video confirms I was standing with my hands behind my back and an awkward smile on my face that hid two thoughts. One, don't do anything that might further agitate the man banging a drum in my face. And two, I was trying to follow a family friend's advice, never to do anything to embarrass your family, your school, or your community.
Sounds like a model citizen for the United States of America. Nick Sandmann, who got dragged into this media meat grinder.
What I thought was a strange encounter quickly developed into a major news story, complete with video footage. My life changed forever in that one moment. The full war machine of the mainstream media revved up into attack mode. They did so without researching the full video of the incident.
Yep.
Without ever investigating Mr. Phillips' motives.
Yep.
Or without ever asking me for my side of the story. And do you know why?
Why?
Because the truth was not important. Advancing their anti-Christian, anti-conservative, anti-Donald Trump narrative was all that mattered. And if advancing their narrative ruined the reputation and future of a teenager from Covington, Kentucky, well, so be it.
That's a fact, Jack. What a great young man. He should run for Congress. He's more articulate and brighter than half the members of the United States Senate, the Democrats.
I fought back hard to expose the media for what they did to me, and I won a personal victory. While much more must be done, I look forward to the day that the media returns to providing balanced, responsible, and accountable news coverage. I know President Trump hopes for that, too.
That would be real nice. Now, I went and I did some research to refresh my memory. Nick Sandmann sued CNN for $275 million for the slander that they perpetrated against him. They were so guilty that they settled, and the amount was never disclosed that they settled for, but CNN, I'd like to think it was $275 million, but it probably wasn't. The case was settled in 2020. The monetary award kept confidential, but the ask was $275 million. Nick Sandmann, great American, sucked into the vortex of the corrupt, filthy, left-wing media radicals who lied about everything from start to finish and were too lazy to watch the video. I watched the video, came in here and told you what actually happened. I was correct, way ahead of all the phony media. They give each other awards for this stuff. We are at 888-630-9625. Today is the March for Life in Washington.
My papa had high cheekbones, like all of the Indians do.
Now, Nick Sandmann, last time I looked up, working on Capitol Hill, a staff assistant at the Senate Republican Conference in Washington, D.C. And I believe that, is that where Nick Sandmann is now? I think it's where Nick Sandmann is now. Pretty obviously going to be a Republican after experiencing the Democrat Party's treatment. All right, let's go to the telephones. Michael, let's go to Craig, calling from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Craig, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris, and to all the listeners out there. Hey, so I'm listening to your story this morning about Nick Sandmann and labeling it as one of the greatest lies perpetrated on the American people. And I can't help but think about a few others that were very divisive. Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot, complete lie. And it was perpetrated by Dorian Johnson, his friend who witnessed the whole thing in it. And Darian Wilson was a police officer whose life was absolutely destroyed over that. We can go back as far as George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. And then Kyle Rittenhouse as well, during the Wisconsin riots. And it is just absolutely, it's disturbing to think that the media has this much power to just poison the minds of those that believe that they're being truthful.
Well, that is a fact. And then, of course, there was the years of Russian collusion and the smears of President Trump by the likes of Adam Schiff and the corrupt Democrats and their corrupt media allies. You're 100% right. Yeah, Kenosha, Wisconsin, they corrupted the hell out of that. Again, a teenager who's the community lifeguard, and he's the villain of the story when these people just released from jail and mental institutions attacking him with guns were the heroes of the story. Our news media, the most corrupt institution in America.